So I've made the decision today to withdraw food because it's getting in the way to a point. I know it's reinforcement, and I've started off by doing that to get his attention, getting with me, getting focused, and I've used that. But what I've seen today is that although yesterday he was pretty good with the retrieve and bringing it back and okay, dropping it early, but pretty good with the retrieve, but he's wandering around a little bit. Once he's retrieved, he's wandering, and that then becomes self-rewarding. So then I have to go and get him, bring it back. Then if I throw the dummy out, he marks it. If I don't ask him to wait, he might, 50% of the time, might run in and chase it, which again, it then becomes self-rewarding. The actual retrieve to him is not self-rewarding. So the picking it up, bringing it back is not self-rewarding. That's based on what I reward. So he's now picking and choosing because it's not as rewarding as the chase. It's not as rewarding as the scent. So I've got to get him to the point where it is as rewarding. The thing you would say is, well, if you offer him a reward every time he comes in, then it's going to become rewarding for him. Yes, it does, but it's then the retrieve is then based on that reward, which is why he drops the dummy early to get the reward, or he kind of plods back to get the reward, so it's not as driven to come back to get the reward. Yes, he wants to come back and get the food, but then when he comes back and when I withdraw the food, he starts clawing at me. Every time I go to pick the dummy up, he then goes for my hand thinking there's going to be a reward, or he stops and he sits and looks at my pocket waiting for the reward. To a point, I've got to make the retrieve self-rewarding. So he brings it back, and that's just as rewarding as going out there and picking it up. It's just as rewarding as scenting. It's just as rewarding. He's got to start seeing it as just as rewarding as that. The benefit of what I've done so far is we had a dog over here this morning. It was just over there, walked down there, and as it got out of distance a little bit, which I thought was out of distance, I put the dummy out over there and I sent him for it, and he stopped, he turned, he looked that way towards where the dog was. I asked him to come away and he came away from it. So he didn't bolt after the dog. So in that respect, great. He got reward for that. But I can't keep rewarding him every single time he brings it back, because then that becomes a problem in its own right. It becomes a problem because I'm not going to be doing that on the working field. He has to see that as his job. His job, go out, pick it up, bring it back to me. That should be rewarding us. Yeah? That should be the reward. Him getting out there, him picking it up, him bringing it back, going back out there and picking it up, bringing it back. That should be the reward. Not the frankfurter, the cheese. That shouldn't be just the only reason why he's bringing it back. And right now, that's the only reason he's bringing that back. The only reason. And that's not good enough. We can't I can't rely on that. Not for a dog that's going to work on the field. I can't rely on that, because something will always overtake that reward. Because as much as you think, and as much as people will tell you, and as much as people will lie to you, that piece of sausage is great, but it's not for him as rewarding as that scent, that rabbit, that dog. It's not as rewarding. So something will overtake the rewards I'm giving. It will override them. And then I've got a problem. And if I can make the actual retrieve itself, so the retrieve itself, the whole process, from sit, wait, mark, cast, run, pick it up, bring it back, the whole process, if I can make that whole process the actual reward itself, then I've cracked it. I've cracked it. Overall, I'm really, really pleased with him, really, really happy, but I've got to get this to become his number one priority, is to bring that dummy back to me, to bring that bird back to me, bring that quarry back to me. It's got to be. And it's the same with any gun dog you work with. It's got to be their number one priority. Forget everything else. Your number one priority is to run out there, pick that up, and bring it back. Simple as. Like I said, certain things will override the rewards that I've got. And rewarding is great. I can reward him all day long. Every time he brings it back, great, fine, I can reward that. But it's still, this is still overriding it. But we're going to continue on, and I'm going to withdraw the food for the moment, make this dummy, make the whole process more rewarding for him, and get it to become the reward in itself. And then occasionally I can then give him a reward like he did when he kind of left that dog alone. That's what that reinforcement's for. Alright guys, hope that makes sense. I'll speak to you soon.